Welcome to the podcast that's been named one of the very best in marketing research. This is Research Business Daily Report. We are the industry's only daily research video blog, and we're made possible by RBDR's exclusive community at the crowdfunding platform patreon.com/RBDR. I'm Bob Lederer, for more than 25 years, the respected voice in market research. We have a very special guest commentator today in our series, which is episode number 42 of Market Research in the COVID-19 Era. This RBDR report is unique in the series because you're going to hear from the woman who, at the turn of the millennium, in other words, 20 plus years ago, conceived of, designed, and invented what we call today the online focus group. I remember back then being in touch with her, and when I talked to others about the online focus group idea, they thought I was talking about something where you typed in your answers instead of what we are actually showing you and reporting to you on right now. In this episode, Renee Frengert shares some of her hopes and the frustrating reality she dealt with, having decided in the late 1990s that there had to be a better way to conduct focus groups without the research client needing to spend considerable T&E and to allocate several days out of the office to jet to a faraway city. Renee will tell you why her idea, an obviously must-have today, didn't catch on, ironically, until the coronavirus all but forced researchers to apply the technology. Renee?
So you want to know when I got the idea the first time that I thought of this? It was in the early to mid 1990s. I saw this new technology, and I had been doing focus groups for 30 years, and I was tired of getting into airplanes and the daily grind of doing traditional focus group studies and in-depth interviews. And I thought, gee, there has to be a way to use this video technology that I've read about. And I contacted the developers of the original meeting platform. They were a young company, and they were engineers in New Hampshire. The huge technical problem that I had to conquer was bandwidth. That was my big enemy. The average person had 56K, if they had bandwidth at all. I mean, the whole situation. We used to type on typewriters, on computers, and that was the primary form of communication. And that's, from being a qualitative researcher, that it does exist, and it has a very large following, but it wasn't my idea of what a focus group was all about. It was about seeing people, talking to them, watching their body language, seeing their facial expressions, and that goes far beyond a typed word. So this, I thought, if you could marry these two ideas of taking a traditional model of focus groups and using the technology that now people can come into a single meeting place and see each other and listen to each other and communicate with one another. That would be, it was, what I used to use as the example, there was a television show on at the time that had an opening. It's called The Brady Bunch. And it showed pictures of all of the members of the family. And that was what I likened it to. That was the only thing I could think of that people might recognize or be familiar with. How the technology problem got solved, the invention of broadband, the public use of broadband, and now then there were fiber optics, and it's just the whole system of communication using the internet was advancing, and getting caught up on some of the things that I had in my mind. And the technology was quote, soon to follow. I had to raise money, and that was what my next step was to get a big law firm that would do this really on a percentage basis. I found one, it was named Darby and Darby. I don't even know if it still exists, but it was a big fancy law firm in New York. And I could not, no matter what I did, I couldn't get them to understand the concept. This was surprising to me because I already had written a white paper for them, and I had sent it to them, and I was surprised that even after I had written this detailed description of what it was, they still didn't seem to get it. So I figured out this is not going to work, and I fired them. And it was a financial disaster for me, really, because it was very, very expensive and it didn't yield anything. It was like trying to teach Chinese to someone who didn't know that China existed. It was a very difficult process. People in the marketing department were not very senior level, and so for them, the idea of going on a trip to 3 different cities of which they could pick was a pleasant idea, and most of them liked what I had to do, and they didn't mind doing it a few times a year. I would say I probably battled it for 3 or 4 years, and I made such little headway. I mean, there was like very, very little willingness to try something new. And it had a lot of benefits. I mean, obviously everybody didn't have to leave home. The company didn't have travel costs for sometimes as many as 15 people. Video conferencing was just too early in its conceptual life for people to have that as a framework around which to build something. Right now, you see, people have to use the technology because of the COVID situation. So it's almost as if it took a pandemic to get this technology on the market. And I wasn't lazy about trying to sell it. I was very aggressive. I was very pushy. I had to be all the things that I'm generally not, to try and explain to people all of the benefits. Right now, it seems so obvious. But back then, it wasn't. And I laid out cost benefits, the convenience, the reach. It just had everything that one could want if we were looking at it from a research point of view. In retrospect, my biggest mistake was not going to the top of the companies, the people who really had a vested interest in bottom line and quality. I offered both. And it was a matter of, they had the purse strings. They controlled the money, which was management. It wasn't the research department. They were allocated funds, I don't know how. And it wasn't in their hands. And this decision, if it had been brought to the right people, I think, should have taken off or would have taken off.
This series requires your input, so we hope that you will organize your thoughts and observations about COVID and its impact on the research area, and then partner with us by emailing your impressions and feelings to rflbob@gmail.com. We'll personally guide you through a simple process that will transform your perspectives into a video commentary that I can promise you and your business will be proud to be part of. That's your Research Business Daily Report. It's made possible by the exclusive community at the crowdfunding platform patreon.com/RBDR. So many research executives, including you, we hope, make it a habit to watch RBDR. And if that's the case, we hope you'll agree that it's time well spent and something that you're comfortable recommending to friends and peers. And we hope as well that you will at least consider becoming an RBDR Patreon supporter, and that means making a commitment, even a very small commitment, to a monthly donation that will help assure RBDR's continued existence. And you can do that by visiting patreon.com/RBDR. This virus is not going anywhere soon, and until we probably have a vaccination of some sort, it's going to be around to really cause problems. And we're going to continue this series until it is no longer a problem. Have a great research day, and we'll look forward to seeing you back with us tomorrow.